In this video, we finally do an interior clean. Stay tuned. Welcome back or to the channel. Today's video, we're doing an interior clean. I haven't done a full interior clean in a video yet, so I figured this is the time to do it. I'm getting this truck ready for storage. The Silver Swine will be getting put away this winter. I haven't had time to do a rust coating on this truck. Now this rust coating I'm going to do a little different than what I did on the Crimson 5.7. I'm not stripping the suspension down to do this. So this one will be a different process coming up in a few months from now, but for now I want to get this one ready to get it put away. When we bring it out, we'll do that rust coating spring, summer, sometime in there. So I'd like to say we're here on our 2021 season. Let's get going on this. Now I know the beginning of our season we kicked off with the two-wheel drive tank and doing some projects on that. We're going to continue now with the Silver Swine. So first step we're going to do is get everything out of the interior that we don't want. Biggest thing is throw away garbage, clean up any extra debris, make sure all your pockets in your doors are cleaned out. We're also going to clean out our armrest and our cubby holes, anything that we've got in here. Because when we go to clean and vacuum, we're going to get pretty extensive with this. And we don't want to suck up any miscellaneous keys or anything else that we want to keep. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean up everything out of here. One thing you're also going to want to do is clean your glove box. So we'll go around right now, clean out the glove box. Now we're not going to do anything under the hood this time. I've done a few videos where I've showed kind of a little bit of a detailing under the hood. I don't tend to get super carried away with underneath the hood, and I don't like washing underneath there. All that electrical, all that water, not good. So, again, just checking all my pockets. You know, some people stuff a receipt down in the door. Good time to get this stuff out. When going through your glove box, most people don't ever go through them, so it's a good practice to kind of take the time to go through them. Extra screws for a license plate. Let's keep some of my personal info off of here. As long as everything looks like it's what belongs in the vehicle, I usually don't get too carried away. I just leave everything in here. If I've got a sleeve that holds all my stuff, I will put it back in the sleeve. So all this stuff is back in there. Throw those back in there. Okay, so the only thing really left is to check back behind and underneath the seats. We want to make sure we got all of our stuff out from underneath our seats. Oftentimes paperwork or miscellaneous things can fall underneath your seats. So make sure you dig that stuff out next. What you're also going to want to do is look in your back areas. Some have cubbies underneath here. Sometimes they hold like the spare jack, things like that. So it doesn't hurt to just look. And this is also a good time to double check. If you do have If you do have a jack for your spare tire, this is a good time to make sure that everything that belongs there is there. So take the time to double check, make sure you've got everything. The other thing you're going to do is you are going to go ahead and pull all of this out. And the reason why is because you're probably going to want to run a vacuum underneath here just to kind of clean this all out. No good spot to set everything in here. Okay. And this is a good time to figure out how to take all this out of here anyway, because if you ever have a flat, you're going to be in kind of a rush to get it changed. So you're going to want to know how everything comes out. Don't just assume and then later on you're kind of scratching your head on the side of the road going, how did I get that out of there? Or how do I get it out? Okay, so now with everything out of here, we can now go to the other side. We're going to do the same in the back. We're also going to pull all of our floor mats. We're going to vacuum everything really good, wipe down all the plastics. I do have certain chemicals that I use, and the ones I've used for many years. I trust them. Okay. On this side back here, there's also another compartment, and that one actually holds the jack. So the other side holds all the rods, this side holds the jack. Okay, what somebody did is they had the jack laying in here just like this, and they had turned this piston so that it was tight inside there. What that did was made it so that it wouldn't rattle. We'll have to put that back in there the same way. But the reason that we have to clean a vehicle this well, this is something that I'm glad I saw before I put it into storage. Is at some point somebody bought some bird seed. If that is left in there for any reason, what can happen is a mouse or something like that gets in that interior, it's going to find that bird seed and it's going to eat it. And then they're going to make nests inside the vehicle. So, knowing this and getting to your vehicle and cleaning it up before you put it in storage is very, very important. Not doing this, you're going to run a risk of something getting in there. So, running your vacuum, wiping down your plastics, throwing away anything that contained food is very important during a storage process. Okay. So where I'm at, I need to take a few minutes. I need to pull everything out of here, so I'm just going to kind of go to it, and I'm just going to kind of fast forward through this part. And I'll just set you back so you can see what I'm taking out. Some of the stuff is personal stuff that I am going to keep. Some of it is stuff I have to clean. And others is things that I have to that I may have to do a deeper clean on them. I may go ahead and toss these in the wash. If I do, I'm going to show a wash process on how to wash your rugs. You cannot run them through a dryer, and you cannot run it on the washer. You will melt the rubber on the backside and deform it. So, I'm going to go to this and get this done, and I'll be right back with you. right, next, we're going for the vacuum. Now, I have said in other videos when I'm doing interior projects, I normally don't show the vacuum. I'm going to this time, and I'm going to cut the sound down. I'm going to clip a little music in while I'm doing this because it is loud. But I want you to see kind of where I place the vacuum while I'm doing this. And it's going to be important that you hit every area of the carpeting, your seats, underneath your seats, and sometimes up underneath the dashes, because you get a lot of buildup underneath the pedals or on the other side where people put their feet up underneath the heater vent. The other areas is back behind the seat where people might sit in the back and put their feet up underneath the seat. In this one, I have the bird seat in the back, so I got to clean that up. That'll be a little bit of a process. I'm going to switch you over to a different setup though for this. All right, so now I got you set up on something different. What I'll do is set you right here in the driver's seat. I'm just going to kick you down. And as we go, I'll move you around, but like I said, I'm going to cut the sound down, and I'm just going to go at vacuuming this out. Now, I will be using a few different attachments here. One attachment I will use is this one, and this is a nice flat one that works for getting big, large areas, flat surfaces. The other one that I'm going to use is this guy that will help me get in between the cracks of the seats. If I feel that that one is too large to fit, I will go with this little guy. And this one actually really does get down into the seats really well. So, all right, here we go. Now that our vacuuming's done, all I'm doing is just lightly wiping up the panels. As you've seen in the video, there was a lot of pet hair, and still is a lot of pet hair in this interior. If you have a pet that has really coarse hair, one trick you can do to get that hair out is to get lint rollers and run your lint roller on your interior panels, especially your floorboards, because that's where most of the hair falls, and on the seats. That's one way to quickly clean that up without having hair all over your interior when you're doing your detailing. But what I need to do is get some of this stuff put back in before we do our next step. Okay, and all that holds the spare jack in, I just put it back in, is a rubber bungee. And this little rubber bungee right here is all that holds it in. Now I did twist my jack tight inside there. And the reason I did that is because otherwise that jack is going to rattle around in there. And you're not going to want to listen to it as you're driving. So then all that's left is to drop my access cover on. And that goes on pretty easy here. There's a hook, or actually two hooks here on the back side, and then the twist valve. The twist actually locks it into place. So just hooks in, drop it down. Less than a quarter turn, I believe. Let me double check. Nope, quarter turn, and it's locked in. Now you can choose, at least on the Toyota Tacomas, you can choose to leave the seat up and push it back. Like this. Now it looks like one big hauling surface, or you can fold the seats down like that, and that would give you the ability to haul passengers. Me personally, I'm not going to haul that many passengers, but I do want to wipe down back behind there, so I will be folding these up at the end of this process, but I want to wipe that panel down before I do that. So what we have to do on this side is we've got to get all the tools put back for our emergency jack. And we do have to access the back. Flip this up. And now we have to fish it all down in here. And again, there's a bungee that holds it all together, just like the other side. What I'm doing is trying to get all my spare tools put back in my bag the way they belong. I did pull this kit out when I was down south on one of my trips, because I had to try to go get a tire fixed, and in order to get it out I had to pull this setup out. So now figure out how we fish this back in here. It is kind of a tight fit, so. All right. Alright, just like that. That's all that really holds this in, is this one little bungee that goes up over the top. Everything's in there secured, it isn't going to rattle. Again, the two clips, quarter turn on the bottom. So slide that in. Drop the panel down, hit your quarter turn, and now you're done. Like I said, I'm going to move this down because I want to clean this up. And this is kind of a nice setup here. You know, you got your seat belts are already clipped in back here. You can just unclip those. So I do like this to where these aren't just laying down here in the way all the time. That is a nice setup. But what we got to do next is wipe down our whole interior. All of our plastics, our backs of our seats, if they're like a leather or synthetic leather, You want to get a wipe on those, get those cleaned up and shined up. Definitely your plastics, all your plastics got to get cleaned. So what we're going to do next is switch over for that. All right, and what I use for my interior wipes is I use a satin wipe. And the reason I like these is they don't leave a grease residue behind. Some of the other ones will, so I tend to gravitate towards this one for interiors, and I use the satin underneath the hood. So matte ones in the interior, satin under the hood. And this process is real simple. Now, if your interior is really, really dirty, you might have to go at it with a little bit of soapy water. Simple green solution is one that a lot of people use. Another one, I believe Armor All makes one. I'm sure Meguiar's makes like a couple of them. I know they make, the Meguiar's makes the squirt bottle form of all of their wipes. So if you wanted to be able to apply it with a rag and have more of a liquid, you could always look for the spray bottles. But what we're doing is just wiping everything down, trying to get this all cleaned up. There's a lot of residue. There's a lot of things that were not cleaned in this interior, so I'm having to go through and basically clean this up for the first time in a long, long, long time. Because like I said, when I got this vehicle, it was very neglected. It was basically just a daily driver, and I don't want to give that excuse to why people have dirty vehicles, but when they seem to be a daily driver, people don't really put the time and energy towards it like they would if it would be like a restoration car or a show car or something like that. But you should take time and take pride in what you have. You know, try to keep it as clean as possible. And I get it, they're not always going to stay clean. Vehicles get dirty, they get used. But sometimes just taking the time to do your car washes, cleaning everything up like you're supposed to, that makes all the difference. Especially if you ever plan on selling a vehicle. Taking the time to clean it is important for resale. Because if you take a dirty car to a car lot and try to get them to buy it, there is a chance that the dirty car will pull in less money than the clean car. That is a very old school trick to people who used to buy and sell cars all the time, especially if they had to go to a dealer and buy one that they wanted. They would spend the time and the energy and sometimes the hours. Some of these detailing projects can take hours or even days. And they would just spend the time to clean them up before they took them in, because they knew that if they took them in clean, they'd get more money for them, and it was worth the time and effort to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and go at this. It's just doing this. I'm going to go ahead again, clip some music in. I'm going to wipe down the entire inside of this truck. Okay, we're coming into the home stretch here, and I've gone through almost a whole bottle of these. And if it's the first time that you're doing a vehicle detail, chances are you're going to use a whole one. If it's the first time you've ever done it on that vehicle, and if you don't keep up on it on a regular basis, you might wind up having to buy 2 of these just to get by. But yeah, there's a whole pile right next to the floor mats there. So what we got left here is I will have to wash these floor mats. They're just too nasty. I'm going to try to run them through a machine wash cycle. I'm not going to open this up just for a few that I need to wipe down the back of these seats. So I'm going to go back to the ones I was just using. Both work just fine. The leather one gives you a little bit more protection as far as the leather goes. It adds like an oil to it, which helps it last longer. But you don't necessarily have to have it, especially on a vehicle that has tinted windows. There will be a mod coming here, a fishbowl delete. So that'll be coming sometime in the spring when I get this thing back out of storage. I'm also looking into the leveling kit for this one. If I get a chance, I'm going to link back to, it might have been when I introduced this one on the channel, so I'll go ahead and link that in the description down below. What we're going to do is look into a couple of different processes for this truck. And if they work out, we're going to get them all set up and get them lined up for this spring. As soon as the weather gets nice, I'm going to pull this bad boy out of storage and start that process. And one thing I wanted to tell you is when I was cleaning the seatbelt latches, let me move you around here. So one thing I wanted to tell you is when I was cleaning the seatbelt latches, you saw me lift up the seatbelt and clean behind here. What happens is your belt gets filled with a whole bunch of debris from your clothing, from your body, sweat, whatever the case might be. And it builds up on the back side of this latch. And if you don't wipe it, your seatbelt won't return back like it's supposed to. Because what happens is it gets gummy, it gets sticky, and then it'll just sit there. It won't go anywhere. Once you clean the back of this latch, it'll go right back up like it's supposed to. Now I know this video didn't really go into a whole lot of detail, like doing a heavy detail on a super dirty vehicle, but this one was pretty dirty. Because like I said, nothing has been done to this thing in a very long time. I don't think there was an interior cleanup on it in probably most or all of its life. So that being said, when I finally got to doing this one, I knew I was going to go through a lot of stuff. There are things that you can buy that will help clean up the process quicker, but I found with speed, you usually have more back-end cleanup with it, where if you use the wipes will only absorb so much. When it starts to smear, you got to grab a new wipe. And yes, you go through wipes, but to me, it's kind of a one-time process. You go through it, you do it once, you're done. You don't have to really worry about it. And as long as you keep up on it, then you don't have to worry about having to redo a lot of stuff. I mean, yes, you'll have spots that are always going to get dirty or always going to get marks, especially around your seatbelt areas. That's usually where feet and your body and stuff touch and bang against stuff, so marking plastic gets pretty easy at that point. But it does clean up. Once you get it cleaned up, it's easier to maintain once it's clean, which is why I always go for this route. Sometimes you got to go back over the panels a couple of times, like if they were really, really dirty. I know my cup holders, I think you saw it. I think I circled the cups like probably 3 or 4 different times just to get them clean. And now that they're clean, they're going to be easier to maintain and keep clean as long as I'm not spilling stuff in there. And I usually don't put anything in my interior that doesn't have a twist-on cap because I don't like having messes in my interior. And it's just a whole lot easier for me to make sure that there's a cap on it than to have that spill and have to clean that up. Because some liquids actually stain or you can't ever get them out. Coffee is horrible. Anytime you get coffee with a cheap lid that pops off real easy, I don't want to throw restaurants out there, they might get mad at me. But you know who you are who have cheap lids. Those lids will pop off the minute you grab it to squeeze it. And if you squeeze just a little too hard, it pops off and all of that goes all over your carpeting. And that stuff stains. And there's very little you can do to get it out. It's very, very nasty. A lot of professional carpet cleaners have to use some very, very expensive equipment to get that pulled back out. And we do have some of those stains in here. So if I get a chance, I might try to get my hands on that kind of a carpet cleaner just to see if I can get these stains out. Let me slide back over there. Okay, there's one spot here that I kind of neglected and I didn't get around to doing. And that's right here. This is where your feet ride. A lot of times you get a couple of different, there'll be sometimes like 3 or 4 different of these plastic panels. And what they are is kind of a wear panel. They're meant to wear on this rather than the carpet where you'd put a hole in it right away. Usually it's where your feet ride. There's usually one up here on a foot pedestal if yours has a pedestal. So I usually wipe that. And if I have rubber pedals, I make sure I only use the matte wipes on pedals because I do not want my pedals to be slippery. These have metal ones, so I'm not going to wipe it with these. I'm just going to leave those alone. Okay, after taking a closer look at these, I'm not even going to try to wash these. These are too stained and too horrible. What I may do is go to Toyota, maybe pick up another set of floor mats, or I might just upgrade to WeatherTechs. I guess that's something I'm going to wait and decide on, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to vacuum these off and install them back in the truck and call it good for now. But I think this is going to do it for this cleaning video. If I get a chance, I'm going to link one of the engine cleaning videos in the description down below. If you get a chance, go back, check that one out. But I'd like to say thank you for watching. Please hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.